cooking in public. We got to practice, we got to learn a lot about all these different produce items ourselves, and we got to really just make these meaningful connections with the residents there. That was definitely so rewarding. And what was really nice is that as the semester went on, each presentation seemed to have more and more audience from, more and more residents involved. And by the end of the semester, our last presentation, we were in this crowded little area, with all these residents around, and we had built a rapport with them, and it was so rewarding, and so we got to learn a lot through this process. It was, I think, it's like this rapid learning process. We learned about gardening, building, we got to learn about all these different produce items, so, through experience, it's just a great, effective learning tool, definitely.
Definitely, yeah, and then on the next slide, we wanted to show, so this was a slide from one of our presentations, so we tried to keep it short. We realized very early on that with the residents, they like talking. They want to talk a lot about what they're learning, so we kept it short so we could communicate more with them and what they wanted to know. So with our presentations, we would do sometimes like history behind the vegetable or the herb, and then we would also try to put scientific research, and we made it credible. So we would look through scientific research journals. We wouldn't just Google it. Like, we were trying to make sure we were giving them good information that will also pertain to them, so something they might be struggling with. So this was from basil, because we had a lot of basil in the garden, so that was a really fun presentation to do. So we talked a little bit about the anti-inflammatory components, also antibacterial, gave them a little background on that, but we didn't make it all about science. We also wanted to give them a little sample of it too, so they could learn and taste. So then we talked about doing a little basil pesto dip. So before the presentation, we would prepare stuff, and this was one of the recipes that we did. So it was a little bit of basil pesto, and then we would do the cheese and the Greek yogurt. Actually, this is a recipe that Veronica came up with, and it seemed to be pretty popular. So we actually brought some today, so we thought we'd just take a couple minutes. If you wanted to just take a little napkin, try it, and then we'll resume and finish talking more about the presentation. So feel free to take some. If not, that's okay, we're not offended, but we want you to be able to try it out and see what it was all about.
Give a little taste.
Also another funny, oh yes, Ted.
We just, we're continuing this process. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. And you, with your project, especially with the garden, really added a lot of credibility to what we were doing, because we were once a month going in and working with the chef and getting a group together with brain healthy products, all kinds of different things. At that point, we didn't have a garden. Now we have a garden, and as you mentioned, Chef Clayton is very, very helpful, and he's excited. I met with him yesterday. Yesterday we actually did a similar presentation on garlic.
Ooh.
And so we showed, after Dr. Castinian Tank was finished with his exercise routine, he had like 12 guests there.
Awesome.
And then we got done, we had it set up for different products made with garlic, a garlic dip. We had a garlic covered roasted pecans. We also had what I call garlic toothpaste, where we take the garlic and roast it in the oven so that when it squeezes out, you can put it on a baguette. We had garlic hummus. We had several different things. The guests were very, very excited about this. And I think they're starting to understand the routine. In fact, they expect it. So that's their participation, which we really, really are excited about. So as we continue this is sustainable. We have students that will come in and go out, and graduate, and be able to continue this, and work with the patients. Guests, excuse me, that are there, and they do have their own stories about their own using different recipes where they may have been introduced to this somewhere in the world during their life.
Definitely. And that was another comment I wanted to make, is that one of the funny things working with the residents is that a lot of times, like especially the first couple weeks, we would bring in the recipes and they would be sitting there eating it and kind of looking at us, we're like, I don't like this. But they would keep eating it, and then they would go back for more, and I'm like, but towards the end, I could see that it was just kind of like presenting them with a new idea, and they were seeing like, okay, well, Chef Clayton's using it in the meals, they're bringing it to us, so they were getting more excited about trying new things. And I know we had worked with one resident in the beginning who was kind of taking care of the garden when we weren't there, and he was talking about how hard it was to, you know, make food for himself in his room. Like, he didn't really like the food that much to begin with. So he was excited that Chef Clayton was there and was using the vegetables and herbs because he was avid on gardening. So we were excited that they were excited. So that was a really fun process. Yeah, so just a little bit about what happened over a year's time. So on the left-hand side, this was when we first started in January. After we received a grant, we had a groundbreaking ceremony. And we had a couple health professionals, some doctors, veterans that were there. They were all really excited to see this garden start. And we even got a little clip in the news, which was really exciting. So I think short. It was funny because they interviewed me for like 15 minutes and then they used like 2 seconds of me being like, it's great. And they put me out. I'm like, cool. It didn't work when you clicked on it. No. But yeah, so it was a really cool opportunity to see that the community was so excited for it, and the management at Oakmont was
Well, the Oakmont Retirement Home in Chico is welcoming a new Veteran Victory Memorial Garden that will be filled with flowers of all kinds and vegetables. Today, there was a groundbreaking ceremony to introduce the new garden to its residents. The garden has been in the works since last year. It will be actually featuring plaques with different veterans' names on them. The main goal is to provide a space for residents to relax and enjoy the outdoors. And the Oakmont chief will also be, the chef, will be able to use those vegetables for meals.
I'm really looking forward to seeing like how the community can interact with this and just enjoy it all together.
The garden was funded by
So it was really exciting. So
still to come on it.
So yeah, so from there we were just, all of our spirits were so excited to see what was going to happen. So from there, we were starting the process, and we were getting people to help us with the concrete. So we had a pathway. We had more help with just getting the garden bed set up. And by May, so we started in January, and by May, we had the opening ceremony. So we were able to have that. And the garden looked beautiful. Over summer, we started having the food being used in the kitchen, which was great to come back to. And so fall time this last semester, Veronica and I focused on doing the nutrition education, really getting to know the residents and building that friendship with them. And it was fun. So that was our last presentation that we did, which was really hard. I enjoyed them so much. They're awesome people and they have great stories. So yeah, so it was great to end on that note. But we were just really trying to see, okay, so what's going to happen now? You know, we're students, we graduate, we have to move on at some point, so what's next?
So this semester, I've been working with Maria Giovanni and talking to students who have been interested in the garden. And we actually have 2 new students taking over, Evelyn and Julie. And Julie's doing more of the presentations that the residents were used to, and Evelyn is starting to get the residents actually involved in the processes of gardening, which is kind of our vision for the future with the garden. We really wanted to start getting residents out there learning gardening techniques and just getting the therapeutic benefits of gardening in general. So we know that this garden's going to continue on and thrive because it can provide hands-on experience for students here at Chico State from a variety of majors. As you saw, just getting the garden started, we were able to get experience to a lot of different students in a lot of different areas. And I think that will continue with maintenancing the garden and just getting new students involved and seeing what direction they want to take it in. So it's we just have a lot of hope for the garden's viability in the future. And also it's got strong roots in the community with other gardening communities here in Chico. So there is a cultivating community here in Chico Chico. They're very interested in keeping the garden going. They keep contacting me, just asking how the garden's doing, if they can do anything to contribute or to help. And so we've maintained this connection, and it's really great that they just take the initiative to make sure the garden's still thriving. And we're actually in contact with Colleen Hearns now through Cultivating Community, who wants to help with garden workshops, teaching the residents the actual hands-on gardening skills. So with her knowledge of gardening, that's going to be so helpful. And yeah, so basically the garden's going to continue to thrive, we think. You know?
Yeah. And I think it just goes to show for us, like, we study nutrition, but there's so much more that the Chico community can bring. Like, we're just one part of it, and there's other people in the community that can really bring their expertise or, you know, their passion to Oakmont. So we saw that a lot with, you know, recreation, gerontology, and we just know there's so many more majors that can be a part of this, and just people in the community just joining together. So it's really exciting, and I've graduated, so I've moved back home, but it's great to come back and hear, like, how much more is happening already. So it's been a great experience.
So, to conclude, this garden was made possible through all these different areas of the community just coming together and helping us just when we asked for help and just told them what the garden was about. They were just so willing to extend themselves, and it was just such a great experience. So the garden was made possible, and it's now thriving because of the combined skills and efforts of the community. And this community, we've learned, inspires good values, and especially the value of sustainability.
Are there any questions, comments?
Of course, I have a comment. The way that this began, it was a little bit, Gas and the university, all the participants really didn't know how it was going to work. And we were doing it once a month, and to start with, it was kind of the same people coming into it. But now, the guests are almost unhappy if we don't do it. I mean, they've become expecting this to happen. And one of the other things that's happening once a month when we go in and do this specific ingredient, raw material from the garden, the chef actually takes the time to put this and introduce whatever that ingredient is that week within the menu during the week. And so this is kind of how we've been doing it, and it's now actually happening. It was a philosophy that we were trying, and a theory, but it's not a theory anymore. It's actually happening, and it is sustainable, and the guests are very, very pleased that we can do this and looking forward to it. And after watching this happening yesterday with the garlic, with the exercise, the guests are just, they were doing very, I mean, I was tired when I watched them because they were doing so much exercise, and then they came in, they don't have the questions in their faces anymore. They know what they're doing, and they look forward to it after, you know. And this is my excitement to watch this occurring, because it actually is happening, and it is sustainable with the students, and it's going to happen if we keep participating in it. It's going to continue, and it'll thrive, and it'll be a model for other senior facilities.
Yeah, we could only hope that, you know, if other senior livings in the area were wanting to do something similar, then now they can maybe be in contact with Oakmont, because it's being proven that it can work. And so I know there are others in the area, so it'd be exciting to see the different senior livings teaming up and working together. So.
Yeah, I know for myself, when I first saw the little plot of land at Oakmont that was going to be designated for the garden, I thought, that's it. You know? And now it's this great, beautiful garden that produces so much food. And so people may not even realize that they have a space that they can use to grow a lot of food, and good quality, you know, organic local food. So, like right outside the kitchen. So I think it's a great model, and it can show us that, you know, you can utilize the space you have really well. And I think that goes along as well with the values of